I like talking about you usually. Oh, geez, Louise! What are you doing here? Don't you know this place is for professionals only? Hey, Tony! Tony! We're out of blinker fluid again! I swear. Well, since you're here, why don't you and I have a little chat? You know, the late Toby Keith once said, I like talking about you usually. So today, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Let me get changed right quick. Much better. I like it. Let's say perchance that you're in your teen years right now. Life doesn't make a whole lot of sense as far as what's expected of you, but listening to Linkin Park in the backseat of your mom's Honda Element is pretty sick. I wanna heal, I wanna feel. It's okay, AC's on. The thought of buying whatever's trending right now crosses your mind so you can be loved by your peers, fellow classmates, and family members, and hopefully be invited to this year's Thanksgiving. I know that dress and hate to see me come. All while being berated by the age-old question of, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Because as we all know, every teenager should know that by now. Exactly. I think it's great to have a plan or a roadmap that you want to follow at this stage in your life. But one could argue that somewhere in the realm of 80 to 90% of the time, life is going to take you in an entirely different direction than what you had planned out. Realistically speaking, the bulk of your teen years should be spent gaining some skills, potentially making some mistakes along the way, trying to live your best life, and doing everything in preparation of becoming the adult that you want to be. And by mistakes, I mean spending money on dumb stuff like funky flames, going camping without a tent, and accidentally getting a speeding ticket because you couldn't wait to get home to play Uncharted 2 on the PS3. Maybe one day I'll get to play it. You're also going to experience some scents during this time in your life that, oddly enough, you'll become nostalgic for one day. You'll just wander into a Bath and Body Works, sniff a candle, give that candle a sniff, and it'll remind you all about that time in your life. I don't know. 21 Pilots knows what I'm talking about. It is true somewhat that you care more about how you're perceived to the world at this age, or at least your inner circles at school or what have you. A lot of us try to get every hair in the right place, or clothes that'll make us stand out, or just brands in general that are seen by others as the cream of the crop, aka the cat's pajamas, aka the bee's knees. Some of us just do whatever we can during this age to try to be as cool as possible or as well perceived by others. But I find it much more admirable the older that I get to just do whatever you feel most comfortable with. If I could give you any advice for your teenage years, it would be to devote some of your effort to an artistic passion of any variety, whether that be game development, voice acting, learning an instrument, learning how to sing, wood burning art, studying magic, anything that seems interesting to you at this point. The day may come that you will look back and wish that you had spent more time learning that skill. And for some of you, it may even blossom into a career path, which is outstanding. I hope that it does for you. Another piece of advice that I would give to you at this age would be to start journaling. And this can be anything from the clothes that you wear, to the games that you like to play, to who you hang out with, the hobbies you like, the hobbies you don't like, the shows you like, vice versa, just anything that you can think of. And I think it's very fascinating to look back on that, some odd years down the road, and just see how much you've changed over the years or how much you've stayed the same. And it's really cool to see how you think of the world later in life, then go back and read these journal entries. And sometimes you'll even find that you thought of these things way back, however many years ago. And I just find that very fascinating based on your journey in life. It's also important to note that these are some of the last times that you'll see most, if not all, of your classmates from school. So do with that information what you will. Some of us go on to live extraordinary lives, and some of us just get arrested for trying to play Uncharted 2 on the PS3. That didn't actually happen. There's a lot of lessons that I could give you at this stage in your life, but having been a former teenager myself, right here. Here's my credentials. Oh, right here. You're ultimately just going to want to learn a lot of this stuff for your own, which is fine, of course. Sometimes you just have to pave your own way in life, and that's completely understandable. Now that your teen years are over with and you've listened to Green Day's Good Riddance one too many times, diploma in hand, life's going to rough you up a bit on the way out. Okay. Now we move on to the highly acclaimed and some may say highly anticipated age of your 20s. By this point in your life, you maybe have a heartbreak or two under your belt. It can take some time to get over those, sometimes a long time. That's okay. Bring it in, champ. But come on. This is the time in your life that you feel like you can fully spread your wings, as far as your financial debt will allow. I remember being pretty financially restrained in my 20s, so I completely understand. I think your 20s are where you really need to do as many like physically required activities that you can think of. I think this is the time that you really need to get those done. Things like running marathons and learning how to ski and snowboard, all the traveling that you can think of, fighting trolls under bridges, or going to Hakone, Japan to get volcanic black eggs in some desperate attempt to lengthen your lifespan like a Wolverine villain. Crazy stuff, I know, but it's the stuff that you need to do in your 20s, trust me. One hill that I'll die on is some people, particularly of an older status, like to assume that every off day from work you have during this time automatically means you're free. When I have so much laundry to mow and grass to clean, I'm not sleep deprived, you are. I'm just kidding. All of this is taken from kind of my experiences in life and what I've seen throughout life. So take this just with the biggest grain of salt. If you have different experiences or things that you'd like to add, definitely put that down in the comment section below because I want to read it. It becomes very evident in your 20s that you're always going to be in a tug of war match with your work-life balance because somehow you have to manage squeezing in a 40 to 50 hour work week every week. You have to maintain your place of sweet but short leisure and decompression. And you also have to maintain your physical and mental health every week. It's a never-ending battle. And if you're anything like I was during my 20s, you have just no time. It's tough. Honestly, it is. It's tough grappling with that. If by some miracle during this time that all the planets align, or if Pluto is visible in the daytime sky, you may even have the chance to have a social life during this time. Something else I find very important in your 20s is to leave your hometown at some point, aka the town that you went to school in K through 12 or however long. I think you need to experience a life outside of that bubble. You don't have to leave forever. I'm just saying it's beneficial to experience that life outside of that. But for context, I think it's worth noting that I grew up in two very small towns, one of which was about $1 short from a Dollar General. I think in most ways, my life is tremendously better for having left that area. This is a very roundabout way of saying your 20s will most likely bring you into a routine schedule of what works best for you. But it can also feel like you're riding a fine line between staying with what works and also trying to keep your ever-evolving life open to change. At the end of the day, I hope you're open to some trial and error during this time in your life. Nobody gets these things right on the first time. Where they live, their occupation, all their hobbies, their friends, all this stuff kind of changes throughout life. If I could give you any advice in your 20s, it would be some of the same things I said about your teens, in that I would still pursue a creative effort or a creative passion of any variety, anything that you see fit or that you have any interest in. It's something that I think could pay off for you in the future. I would double down on your creative efforts during this time. But again, like I also said, during your 20s, I would pursue physically strenuous activities because this is the time when you're arguably at your peak fitness. And I think you'll find that it gets a lot harder to be physically active as you get older. And as your 20s come to a close, I hope that you have some good memories to look back on, a few good keepsakes. And as we all know, life's going to rough you up on your way out.